Hello, my loves. This week we're going to review fractions. Today we're going to multiply fractions. Our standard says that we can multiply fractions and we can determine the sequence of operations when multiplying a fraction by a whole number or when multiplying two fractions. And we're going to show that you can use different strategies to find the area of a rectangle with fractional side lengths, including the use of models. Today we're going to focus on using the simple algorithm. We simply multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. Here's our objective: multiply fractions. The essential question: how can you find the product of fractions? Our lead measures for today: review the algorithm of multiplying fractions, Mega Math fraction flare-up levels C and O, and then we're going to practice multiplying fractions using IXL. Don't forget, you've got 3 grades due at the end of the week. 2 of those are your iReady teacher assigned lessons, and the third is your 50 minutes of math. And don't forget, you need 50 minutes of math plus 50 minutes of reading in order to get perfect attendance, and then you'll get those Class Dojo points. So here's what I need you to do. When you're done with those 2 iReady teacher lessons, please go on to your regular learning path. Do some of your learning path lessons. The reason is because we've got to get you caught up for 6th grade. If you're still on 5th grade math, you should be at the very end of 5th grade, or even pushing beginning of 6th grade. We really want you there. If you're still on iReady 4th grade, I need you to catch up. Remember, that's why you should be doing 70 minutes of iReady math. Those extra minutes are going to catch you up, okay? And then you're going to keep doing that over the summer. That way, when you come to 6th grade next year, you will be right on track. Okay, we're going to multiply a fraction by a fraction. And all we have to do is multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. So let's do some practice problems. Okay, let's do a simple one of 3/5 times 4/6. So first, we multiply the numerators. Numerator times numerator. 3 times 4 is 12. And then we multiply the denominators. 5 times 6 is 30. And that is your answer. Now, I know when we first did fractions in the classroom, we reduced them to lowest terms. And we're going to be doing that on Wednesday. But for today, with multiplication, we're just simply going to multiply straight across, because I want you to get in that habit of going boom, 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 and getting that going really quickly and easy. And then we'll add on that step of reducing to lowest terms. Let's do another problem. How about 7/9 times, let's do 3/5. So again, we need to multiply numerator times numerator, and we get 21. And denominator times denominator, we get 45. So my answer is 21/45. Okay, so I need you to get your piece of paper and your pencil, because I'm going to give you some problems and I want you to do them on your own. Let's start with, let's go back to 7/9 times 13/15. Now I want you to pause the video. I want you to do the math and then press play when you have your answer. Okay, let's see what we've got. Let me get my pen ready. Okay. So step 1, multiply the numerators, 7 times 13. And don't get intimidated by this. You guys can all do this, because you know, let me move it down here. You know what 3 times 7 is. What's 3 times 7? It's 21. And you know what 7 times 1 is? It's 7. Plus 2 is 9. So the answer is 91. That's very simple for you. Don't get intimidated thinking these are big numbers. You can do this. You can do this one even easier because those 5 times tables are simple for you. 9 times 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. You see how I drew a domino? 5 plus 4 is 9. So if I skip count, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Regroup. 9 times 1 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's 135. So this is my answer, 91 135ths. Is that the answer that you got? Let's do another one. Let's do 75 80ths times 8. Let's do 8 20ths. How about that? Okay, pause the video. Okay, let's see what you have. Let's go here to 75 times 8. Woo! 8 times 5 is 40. Regroup. And then we've got 7 times 8, which is 56, plus 4 would be 60. So altogether, it is 600. And now we've got 80 times 20. Now think about this. This is 8 tens times 2 tens. We know that 8 times 2 is 16. But now, that's an E. But now, and that's also an E, we know we've got tens time. Miss Blair keeps texting me. Let me turn her down. Miss Blair. So we have 10 times 10, and we know that 10 times 10 is 100. So the answer is 16 hundreds. Or you can simply count the zeros. 1, 2, 1, 2. So my answer is 600 1600ths. Is that the answer you got? All right, let's move on. Let me clear my screen. Let's move on to the next one. Now we're going to multiply a fraction by a whole number. Step 1, turn the whole number into a fraction. Step 2, multiply the numerators. And step 3, multiply the denominators. So let me grab a whole number here. Let's go with 2. And I'm going to multiply it by, let's do 2 times 1/2. All right, so step 1, turn the whole number into a fraction. So I have 2. Let's say I have 2 pizzas. If I'm talking about a fraction, they're not cut into anything yet. They are whole pizzas. I don't have any cuts. Do you see cuts? So that means that we have 2 wholes. 2 over 1 times 1/2. That's all you have to do to turn that whole number into a fraction. And it doesn't matter what whole number you have, even if it's 1,672, you just stick a 1 under it, and now you have a fraction. It says 1,672 wholes. That could be pizzas or cookies. It's a whole. It's not cut up into a piece. Now all you have to do is multiply the numerators. 2 times 1 is 2. And multiply the denominators. 1 times 2 is 2. So 2/2 is our answer. Now you guys, of course, know that when you have 2 halves, like in a pizza, 1/2 and 2 halves, it equals 1 whole. So if you put 1 as your answer, that's okay. But just remember, we're going to practice reducing those on Wednesday. Let's do one for you to practice. Let's go with 75 times 2/15. 75 times 2/15. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to do the math yourself and then press play when you're ready. Okay, let's see. 75, I need to turn into a fraction. So it'll be 75 over 1 times 2/15. So step 1, multiply the numerators. 75 times 2. Let me put it over here. 2 times 5 is 10, regroup. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So it equals 150. And then 1 times 15 is 15. Here's your answer. Now you'll notice that this fraction is a fraction that is greater than 1. And we can tell it's greater than 1 because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. It looks kind of like a triangle if you think about how much there's 150 is a lot more than 15. And sometimes we call it an improper fraction. And the reason we call it that is because this bottom part is smaller and it looks like it will topple over. So on Wednesday, we will talk about how to reduce that. But for today, we're just multiplying straight across. All right, let's do one more, and I'm going to give you a tough one. I want you to pause the video and see if your answer matches mine. Let's do 36/17 times, let's do 19, 36. Sure, why not? Okay, pause the video and let's do that math. Let's see what you got. Oh, Miss Allison, what did I just do? I was supposed to do a whole number. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, let's do this and then I'll do a whole number. What was I thinking? I was getting so excited with these big numbers. Okay, 36 times 19. Well, let's do it here. Okay, I know that 9 times 6 is 54. Regroup. 9 times 3, well, what is 9 times 3? I know 10 times 3 is 30, so it'll be 29, 28, 27. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 plus 5, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. It's 32. Now I'm moving on to my tens place, and because I'm in the tens, I have a 0 in my ones place. 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 3 is 3. When I add them together, I have 684. And then I need to do 17 times 36. And guys, this is so easy. It's basically 36 times 7, and then 36 times 10. That's all it is. And then that 36 times 7 is really 6 times 7, and then 3 times 7. 7 times 6 is 42. Regroup that 4. 7 times 3 is 21. 22, 23, 24, 25. And the 2. Now, I'm going to put my 0 because I'm in my tens place now. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. And I've got an 11 and a 6. 612. So my answer is 682 over 612. Okay, is that what you got? 684? Sorry, 684 over 612? If not, check your math and see what mistake you made. And maybe write this problem down so you can practice it over and over and over again. Okay, let me clear this. Where's my annotations? Clear. Okay. We're going to do one more because I forgot to put a whole number there. Let's do a whole number of 54 times 16 eighteenths. Okay, pause the video and then come back when you've got your answer. Okay, did you follow these step-by-steps? Look, they're right here. Step 1, turn the whole number into a fraction. I gave you that reminder. Step 2, multiply the numerators. 54 times 16. Let me do it over here. All right, I have 6 times 4 is 24. Regroup. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 is 32. And now I'm in my tens place. There's my 0 in the ones place. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 5 is 5. And I've got 6, 8, 6, 4. That is my, didn't I get 864 on the other one? I did, didn't I? That's kind of strange how I keep picking those same numbers. Okay, and now our denominators. 1 times 18, well, you can't get any easier than that. 864 eighteenths. Look how simple it is. The multiplication part, as long as you know your multiplication facts, your timetables, you will have an easy time. If you don't know your timetables, hey, this is a perfect time to practice. And in fact, we have IXL. And now IXL probably doesn't have simple multiplication practice on the 5th grade level, but if you want to review, you can go down to that 3rd grade level, and that'll be the simple problems like 8 times 8. If you want to go to the 4th grade level, it'll be 18 times 8. And then when you get to the 5th grade level, it'll be more like 18 times 189, right? Because 5th grade is so awesome and challenging. So go back and review those. Make sure you're getting these right answers. Okay, now we're going to multiply a fraction by a mixed number. The first step is to turn the mixed number into a fraction. Just like we did with the whole number, we have to turn it into a fraction. But this time, we've got a whole number and a fraction. That's what a mixed number is. And we're going to turn it into a fraction greater than 1. And then we just multiply the numerators, and we multiply the denominators. That's it. So let me get a mixed number here for you. Let's do 1 and 1/2. Remember, when it's a mixed number, we can say and, because it's one whole and a piece of a whole. 1 and 1/2 times 3/4. So here's my problem. My first step is to turn the mixed number into a fraction. So let's think about this. I have one whole pizza, and then I have half of a pizza. And I want to turn it into a fraction. Well, guess what? It already gave me the denominator. I'm going to keep that denominator, which means since this pizza is cut into half, I'm going to cut this one into half. And I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 halves. Now, if you don't want to draw a picture every time, here's the easy way that we did it in class. And we're going to practice this quite a bit. 1 times 2 is 2. And then 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's how we got 3 halves. Let me show you again. Go, go, go. Clear, 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 clear. Oh, get back, get back. I cleared too much. Okay. So 2 times 1, that's our first step. 2 times 1. And why did I do 2 times 1? Because look, I have one pizza, and I'm multiplying it by 2 because I'm cutting it into 2 pieces. That's where that 2 times 1 comes in. So I'm taking that whole pizza, that whole number, and I'm cutting it into 2 parts. That's where that is. 1 times 2. And then I'm adding this extra 1 because I've got it right here. I need to add this one together. So 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. And we're talking about halves. So 3 halves. And now we multiply by 3/4. Multiply the numerators. 3 times 3 is 9. Multiply the denominators. 2 times 4 is 7,900. Just kidding, it's 8, right? So our answer is 9/8. And this is a fraction greater than 1. We know it's greater than 1 because the numerator is bigger than that denominator. But this is our answer. All right, let's do another one. Let's do 2 7/8 times 1/2. Let's make a simple one like that. Okay, I want you to pause the video and do the math. All right, let's see what you got. So step 1, turn the mixed number into a fraction. 2 7/8. Step 1, multiply. 8 times 2 is 16. Step 2 is to add 16 plus 7. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's 23. And because our denominator was 8, it's going to stay at 8s. And how this looks is we have 2 whole pizzas, right here. And then we have a pizza that has 7/8. And I'm going to shade in all but one of those 8s. 7/8 getting shaded. Okay. Now, because this one is in 8ths, we want this one to be in 8ths, don't we? Well, how many 8ths in this whole pizza? There's going to be 8/8, isn't there? And how many 8ths in this whole pizza? It's going to be 8/8. 8/8 plus 8/8 is 16/8. And what's 16/8 plus 7/8? It's 23/8. So this one becomes 23/8. And now we simply multiply. 23 times 1 is 23. And 8 times 2 is 16. Are we going to reduce it? On Wednesday we will. Today we're going to leave it just like that. Let's do one. No, you know what? Let's do 2 more. I'm going to put 2 together, and I want you to pause it and do it on paper. Let's do 3 3/9 times 1/3. And here I'm going to do 2 4/5 times 3/5. Okay, pause the video, do that math. All right, let's see what you got. Our first step is to multiply 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is going to be 27. And it's going to be 27/9, isn't it? And that 27/9 plus 3/9, 27, 28, 29, 30. It's going to be 30/9. Is that what you got? Or if you thought of 3 pizzas, and if you have to cut each pizza into 9ths, this is going to be 9/9. This will be 9/9, and this will be 9/9. Altogether is going to be 27/9. But then we already had 3/9 over here on this little piece of a pizza. And you've got to put them all together, don't you? So that's why we do that simple algorithm, that simple step-by-step. It kind of like, makes things a little easier for us. It's like a shortcut. So 9 times 3 is 18. I'm sorry, 9 times 3 is 27. Whew, 27 plus 3 is 30. And I multiply times 1/3. 30 times 1 is 30. And 9 times 3 again is 27. There's your answer. Let's do this one. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. So 2 4/5 is equivalent to 14/5. It's the same. We're going to multiply by 3/5. 14 times 3. I've got room over here. 3 times 4, 12. 3 and 42 is our answer. Now guys, I really hope you're taking advantage of this and pausing the video and actually doing that math. 5 times 5 is 25, and your answer is 42/25. All right, now we're going to multiply mixed numbers. We're going to turn both of those mixed numbers into fractions, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. Let's do a couple of these practice problems. So I've got a mixed number of 1 1/2, and I'm going to multiply it by 3 1/4. Step 1, turn the mixed numbers into fractions. This is 1 1/2 pizzas. 1 1/2 pizzas. If I want to cut this to show halves, how many halves do I have? I have 2 halves. So all together, I have 3 halves. And how do I show it with that algorithm? 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So it becomes 3 halves, just like this became 3 halves. Times 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So I've got 3 halves and 13/4. Step 2, multiply the numerators. Here we go. 13 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 1 is 3. I've got 39. Step 3, multiply the denominators. Well, 2 times 4 is 8. There's my answer. 39/8 is my answer. And I don't need to reduce today. I'll reduce on Wednesday. Okay, here's a problem for you. 5 5/10 times 4 4/8. Go ahead and pause this video and see what you can do. Okay, step 1, you should have turned that mixed number into a fraction. So 5 times 10 is 50. 50 plus 5 is 55. And we're talking about tenths here, so it's 55/10. Times 8 times 4 is 32. And 32 plus 4, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 36, and of course it's 8. So we're talking about eighths there. Now, our next step is to multiply the numerators. 55 times 36. Now guys, this might seem intimidating, but it really isn't. This is really 5 times 6. You know how to do 5 times 6, right? Yeah, you do. You know that 5 times 6 is 30. So that means right here, the answer is 30. But I can't put it here, can I? No, I have to regroup. So it goes here for my 30. Now that I did that one, it's time for this one. 6 times 5, again, it's 30. And now I add my regrouping, 33. And I'm totally done with my ones place now. I'm moving on to my tens place. So I'm going to put a 0 here. Now I have a problem that says 5 times 3. You guys know 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Regroup. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. Make sure you line up your numbers. 1,980 over, what's 10 times 8? 80. That's your answer. 1980 over 80. Look at all the math that I had to do. Your paper should look like mine when you're doing these problems. Let's do one, and I want you to pause the video again. I'm trying not to pick the same numbers over and over. I tend to do that. Okay, 81. I haven't done that one yet. 81 6/4 times 5 5/6. Okay, we're gonna have some big numbers here. Pause the video. Okay, step 1. Turn the mixed numbers into fractions. 81 times 4. Oh, I need scrap paper for that. 81 times 4. 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 8 is 32. Oh, it's 324. But then I have to add that 6. 324 plus 6, 330. And we're talking about fourths. Perfect. Next, 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 plus 5 is 35, and we're in sixths. Next step, I have to multiply those numerators, right there. 330 times 35. Okay, step 1, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. Well, that was quick, huh? Next, I'm in my tens place, put my 0 there. 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9. Make sure I lined them all up right, yes. 0, 5, 15, 11. 11,550, that's a big number. Equals. And now what's 6 times 4? 24. There's my answer. So notice, every time we have a mixed number and we're multiplying, this numerator is huge. And the reason is because we've got this whole number, we're multiplying them together, right? So when you've got whole number times whole number, you got some big numbers. All right. Okay, perfect. We are done with that. Okay, here we are. So in today's lesson, go to MegaMath Fraction Flare Up Level C, and then do Level O to practice. You can use IXL for extra practice, and then I want you to multiply fractions to find the area, and then add and subtract fractions. Now, I'm going to review with you adding and subtracting fractions on Thursday and Friday. So if you have a hard time with this, maybe hold off, like try it, and if you fail it, wait until you do the lessons with me, and then try it again, okay? Multiply fractions is so much easier than adding and subtracting. All right, let's go to Fraction Flare Up Level C.
Hi, I'm Penny.
Hi, Penny.
In these questions, show the fraction as part of a group. Click this arrow to shade the object. Click this arrow to unshade them.
Okay, so we're talking
fraction as part of a group.
Okay. We're talking about 1/3 here. You can tell that I have 3 all together. And I need to shade 1/3. There it is.
Exactly.
If you're like me and you don't have a lot of patience, you can kind of fast forward their talking. So you're going to practice this, and cool. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. You're going to practice this to get your mind remembering all of those fractions. And the more that you do, it's going to get a little bit more challenging. When you're finished with that, go to level 0, or no, level O, letter O. And with MegaMath, the higher up, hi Penny,
Welcome.
The higher up on the alphabet, the more challenging it is. So level C is not very challenging, but level O is.
First, click these arrows to shade and unshade the column. Shade 1/5 of the whole square.
Okay, they said to shade 1/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. That's 1/5. Then I'm going to click go.
All right.
What do you think is going to happen next? I shaded 1/5. Next, I'm going to have to do, I don't know, let's find out.
Shade 1/3 of the whole square.
So first I shaded 1/5. And they made columns. They made 5 columns. But now look what they did. They made 3 rows. They didn't shade anything in. This is still my 1/5 shaded. But now I need to shade in 1/3 of my rows. So see how I have 3 rows? I need to shade 1/3. That's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. But I need to go back down to 1/3. Now what they're showing you is 1/5 times 1/3 is this little piece right there. And what is that little piece? Well, how many altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15. It's going to be 1/15. And they're showing you this, this model, even though we know 1 times 1 is 1 and 3 times 5 is 15. Because sometimes the models are actually more challenging than the algorithms.
Terrific.
One 1/15. Now, I know you guys know how to multiply the numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. I know you how to do that. But I want you to look and see exactly how they match. 1/3 is orange. 1/5 is purple. 1/15 is orange and purple.
Excellent.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Next. IXL for some extra practice. Now I did something different this week. When you sign into IXL, what I gave you was a suggested activity. So I suggested all the activities that we're working on. And for today, there are some really fun ones. There's number, where are we? I don't remember. Here, add and subtract fractions. Nope, we are multiplying fractions. Good. Multiplying fractions. And one of the ones that I suggested that you do you see how they have stars on them or how they're highlighted? Those are the ones that I suggested that you do. Multiply fractions by whole numbers. Hello, we just did that, didn't we? Multiply fractions by whole numbers using arrays. Fractions of a number. What is 1/2 of 6? What is 6/9 of 18? Okay, so you're going to do some of these problems. Now, please don't spend all day doing all of these problems. Do some to kind of remind yourself how to do that. And because remember, we did this already in class. And then you're going to do your iReady. Multiply fractions to find area, add and subtract fractions. Now, here's something. When you go to multiply fractions to find area, and you watch the tutorial and you do the practice, and now it's time for the quiz. If you don't feel like you're ready for that quiz, go to IXL and do some practice problems, because then it doesn't matter if you get them wrong, because it just keeps going till you get them right. Once you have those practice problems, then go back to the iReady and see if that helps you a little bit. Okay, but I need you to do these problems, these iReady lessons, guys. These are your grades. You have to prove that you can do 5th grade work. All right, that's kind of the deal of what's happening since we're doing this distant learning. We're doing virtual learning. I have to assign 5th grade math. You have to prove that you can do 5th grade math. And I know you guys can do it if you put your mind to it. You are seriously awesome. Okay, so that's what you're doing today. Have fun with it. Write it down on paper. Have a great time. Email me if you need help. Okay, I love you guys. Bye.